Oh, there's a whole lot of people who turned up and were outside the other side of the glass. Oh, thank you very much. Well, we like to tickle people's fancies. Okay, take care, buddy. See ya. Bye.
We set out to do something which we didn't really quite have the resources to do, and I knew that we would take ourselves to the edge of the cliff financially at some point in that process.
It did make you feel as though you were about to fall into a big dark hole and perhaps never come out of it.
Is just going to shit. Anyway, it's time for me to punch now. Dig you later. You take care. Whatever you do, make sure you take it and trust the energy, because the energy says it's radio, not geography.
We were renting in Fitzroy, and that building was bought by the Southern School of Natural Therapies. Late 2002, they indicated that it was unlikely that our lease would be renewed.
Are you ready for a joint?
I'll just chill out
for a little while. Yeah, I understand.
It was really clear from the first meeting that what we really wanted to do was buy a building. We wanted to have a place that was Triple R's own place.
And I really clearly remember the day of driving up to the Blythe and Nicholson Street set of lights and seeing the auction sign on this particular building.
We figured that we could afford about $1 million, and we wanted something that was around 1,000 square metres. And when I told real estate agents that, most of them just laughed at me.
And I walked through the back door, which was where the CD library now is, and went, I think this will do.
A number of other people came along to the auction, including people like Jeff King, our chair, who's been involved in Triple R since almost the very beginning, and who has been fantastic and solid right throughout this process, particularly when I had severe anxiety attacks. And I was so nervous about the auction that I said they were welcome to come, but they couldn't stand near me. The only person that could stand near me was Philippa.
And the auctioneer came back in with the vendor and said, we'd like to say that the property's now on the market and the highest bid is with these two young ladies here.
Which was appropriate for Philippa, but I'd well past being a young lass by that stage.
Which broke the tension somewhat. But we did have to refocus on the task at hand.
So in the end we got it for $945,000, which was a great price for the market at that time.
And quite an emotional feeling to say congratulations, it's yours.
But in the back of my mind there were all these questions about the money it would take to do it, the fact that we wouldn't be able to do it in an ideal way, we wouldn't be able to have project managers, we wouldn't be able to put the capital together and then do the build, that we would have to do it slowly and it would take us a number of years.
We had undertaken a huge fundraising drive for the move generally. We knew that we weren't sure whether we would rent or buy, but we knew whichever way we went, we needed to raise the money to be able to fit out whichever space we landed in.
I remember a slightly sort of hair-raising meeting in the back room of Triple R with our architects and Philippa Overgaard and Andrew Croak, who were really the two key people who I worked with through the project of relocation.
And the timeline just kept getting pushed further and further and further, and we got closer and closer and closer to the point where we absolutely had to be out of Fitzroy, and things like the building didn't have a roof yet.
I just remember at some stage, and these were fairly stressful times, sort of thinking, if we don't start building now, we're completely fucked. Mario and Mario from Mario's Cafe around the corner in Fitzroy and long-term supporters. They had a set of posters that had been from the Continental, all autographed. They rang me up and said, look, we'd like to do something like an auction and raise funds. And we raised about $35,000 from the Continental poster auction. And that was in 2005 at a point where I was really struggling to pay the wages bill. I was really wobbling on the edge of the cliff.
There was probably about 100 volunteers on top of our normal existing broadcasting and non-broadcasting volunteers that helped. And Ludi Adam played a huge part in that. She was the administrator here at the time, and we organised big packing days. I think we ended up with 2,500 boxes moved from Fitzroy to Brunswick.
You know, Viv Lees rang up from Big Day Out and said, in Viv's incredibly sort of quiet way, "I hear you doing some pretty long hours." And I said, "Yeah, but, you know, it's good, you know, trying to sound convincing." And he said, "Would 20,000 help?"
Kath and I couldn't move away from the fact that we both felt very strongly that the studios were the heart of the station and therefore physically should be in the middle of the entire building.
Grant Mackenzie's team from Sonoma were fantastic. Shane Smith, who was the site manager here, was just a fantastic person to work with. Mark Healy from 6 Degrees did a great job of working through the design with us. I said, "Great for us to talk, but you should talk to a whole range of staff and broadcasters. You should get a sense of what this place means to them, how they use it, what they do in it." And he came back and said, "Seems like they want something like a cross between Raw FM and Godspell."
Here comes success. Here